Well, good morning, cats.
What up, cats?
We see if we have some cats listening today.
How's everybody doing?
We were just talking about how this is going to be a high energy Wednesday.
Yes, it will be.
Supposed to get up to 40 today.
Is it actually?
Yeah, 40. Well, I looked at the extended forecast. There's a couple days it says 50s.
Ooh,
But
I like that.
in 1 week, 1 week from tomorrow, Xavier and I are flying down to Florida.
Oh, you going to spring training?
No, we are going down for the Tournament of Champions World Championships for 50 and over softball.
Oh, wow.
I'm going to take Xavier with me. He's going to get ahead on his schoolwork.
That's awesome.
Because he kind of got hosed when we went down to Arizona a couple months ago.
What happened there?
Well, we didn't want him to miss school at that time and, with the pets and stuff. But Amy's going to stay back, so the pets, we don't have to board them. And I'll call it how it is. He doesn't have math this semester, so, all the woodworking and other classes that he's in, he can just go make the end table early and be done. No, he's just working ahead on his work, so it should be fun.
That's gonna be awesome, man. Should be nice weather.
Be excited.
Sarah, what's up? Ryan 840, hello. Shane, what's going on, man?
Good morning.
Bill is out today. He has got some slim chicken stuff he's got to deal with. So
I think it's like the big wigs coming around.
Right. So
making sure that he puts enough batter on that stuff.
Uh-huh. You better be.
Enough butter on the bread.
That's no flaky butter. No, that is a big callback to the show. A lot of people probably don't know that joke. The flaky butter joke.
Oh, yes.
Was
that Gary?
No, it started with Vegas Dave, and then Gary called in after that and gave us an electric soundbite.
Is Vegas Dave the one that always called me Hugh?
Yeah, that was. And we haven't heard from him in a while.
No, you better check on the little fella.
I don't know. I don't have his number. I think I have it here. Hold on. Let's see here. Here it is.
Is Sarah's your sister, right?
No. Sarah is a good friend of mine.
Claire is your sister.
Claire is my sister.
And Nora is your wife.
She's my girlfriend.
Okay, yeah. Yes. That's how it all starts.
It's usually how it all starts in a lot of relationships. You got to start dating first, right?
Right.
Yeah. Well, we will have Henry T on.
Oh, that'll be interesting today. We'll have some questions for T.
Yes. To open the show, we're gonna talk some Big Ten stuff, but more importantly, we're gonna be doing Fuse 3. And we'll tell you what.
It's where we go outside and give me a basketball in the cold and see if I can drain one from 25.
No.
Okay.
It's a good idea, though. We'll do that at the beginning of the show. So welcome in. Happy Wednesday. You picked the intro song today. I should
only two though, huh?
Yeah, because we probably only have time for two.
Oh, that's because after the first one, we get the Mark Morrison, don't we?
That's right. Is it Mark Morrison? I thought it was Mac Morrison.
Mark Morrison.
This is the Morning Hookup on KFOR.
Welcome into the Morning Hookup. Happy Wednesday. Welcome in. Hope everything's going okay. I'm Will Wilson. I'm joined by Matthew Malone. We like to call him Thew Malone. And he's in today, sitting in. Bill Hooks is out today. He's dealing with some other business stuff. So good luck to him and everybody involved. And he'll be back tomorrow. But Thew is in. I'm in. And everybody on stream is in. Happy Wednesday. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you doing over there?
I'm doing great.
Good.
I get to come in and be on the radio today.
You always are in a good mood when you come in here, and I think it shows how much you love radio.
Well, and we were kind of talking about that before we went on air. And you guys don't treat it like a job because I know you and Bill bring it every day, and I've always appreciate that. But it's hard sometimes if I'm out on the train or going to and from that I'll have to get on the stream and just type in once in a while or call, and I was like, boy, I always love it when I'm in there. And so when I get that call when one of you guys are gone, I've got all that bundled up radio energy
I
from 2
know.
or 3 weeks.
You got to let it ooze out.
And not to pick a scab if Ernesto's listening, but to funnel that into 1 week, and I'm ready. Sports it is.
Hope Ernesto's doing okay. Got a birthday card in the mail from him. He wasn't on the show at all Monday or Tuesday, so everything's going okay with him.
Are you 25 now?
I'm 26
26.
now.
Okay. I did. Sorry, I didn't cut you open and count the rings.
No problem at all. Yeah, 26 feels doesn't feel any different. I think I could already rent a car at 25, right?
I think so.
25 is the rent a car age. 26 is insurance. I think that's how that goes.
Yeah, where I don't think the premiums go down and you can no longer be on your parents' insurance.
Well,
it's a rite of passage.
Well, thanks for everybody tuning in today. Henry T. Buchanan will join the show, former Husker. He'll be joining the show around 10:20. We'll talk about the recent road problems Nebraska's experiencing. We'll talk about tomorrow's game against Rutgers.
See if we can get back on track down there at the Vault.
That's right. We'll talk about some other Big Ten teams going on. There's some good games last night. Indiana looked awful at home against Illinois.
And UCLA has not looked good since we beat them either.
No, they haven't.
At the time we thought that was a good win, but they've kind of not played good since.
Very true. So we'll talk to T about all of that. And then at the end of the show, we'll do our stories we missed. We'll do a daily wager. All right, get that going. So, Thew, let's open the show. Let's talk. I kind of want you to catch me up. I haven't seen you for a few weeks.
Catch up on this craziness of what they call the college football recruiting phase 2, I guess.
There's so much, and I got to be honest, this may be a bad look, but I'm too cheap to really buy any of the subscriptions when it comes to all of these publications. All right, so I don't really know. I know a few names who we've got in the portal, but not everything. I know you keep logged. I know you're in Husker Army. You guys are always talking about the news. So I want you to give me your top 3 players that you're excited for that we've gotten in the portal so far.
Okay.
Since the end of the season.
We'll go over 3. We'll touch on 3.
We're calling this Fuse 3. Fuse 3. Let's start with number 3.
Well, it's crazy. Well, and it's tough because as of right now, we've got 16 people on the hook as far as incoming out of this transfer portal. I don't know if you know this or not, but a lot of the publications have us as the number 1 ranked Big Ten team as far as portal recruits, anywhere from maybe 6 to 8, depending on where you look nationally. And I don't know how to take that, if that's based off of quality or quantity, because if you remember when Matt Rule came on board a couple years ago, he said, "No, I want to build this from the high school ranks." Obviously, college football has changed a lot since Matt's been hired, and there's a few positions where we needed to infuse some talent. So with that being said, the number 3 person that I put on here was Marquise Watson-Trent is my number 3 ranked as far as important incoming transfer portal player.
Okay.
He is a linebacker from Georgia Southern. And if you remember, Georgia Southern was the last game that Scott Frost coached.
I was at that game
because we lost. But Marquise Watson-Trent, kind of an undersized linebacker. When you go to these combines, they think, oh, well, if you're not 6'3" or 6'2", you must not be able to play. And they look at that as far as offensive linemen too. A shade under 6 feet, but still, 230, 240 pounds. The dude's recorded over 100 tackles the last 3 years. And if you remember when he played against us, he was in double-digit tackles also. The reason I picked him as opposed to, say, Dasan McCullough, who's a linebacker from Oklahoma, is the fact that we have so much we're losing so much experience at that linebacker spot. As far as Bullock is leaving, Gabair is gone. I know that Javin Wright's going to get another year of eligibility, but we were going to be depending on Shavers, McGahee, and, maybe the incoming guys as far as Christian Jones, Dawson Merritt. And so I think infusing some bona fide experience at that linebacker spot, that's why I went with him at number 3.
I like that pick. Yeah, we really do got to do something about that linebacker spot. We lost a lot. And,
right.
Man, I look back to some of these Nebraska teams where our linebacker group wasn't up to par, and it was tough to watch.
Sure.
So
sure.
I'm with you on that.
And, and I think don't be alarmed that, when we bring in proven talent from other positions, because I think that a lot of these incoming freshmen for next year that we looked them in the face and said, hey, you got to be ready to go. Maybe it gives them a little bit more time to develop.
Yeah.
But still, if you're an incoming freshman too, you want to show up on campus, maybe, trying to play. That's always the goal. But I don't think there's going to be as much pressure as a person like, say, a Christian Dones or a Dawson Merritt that's going to be forced into action early, which is nice.
Let's continue Fuse 3. Let's go to number 2. Your number 2 most favorite incoming portal target.
Well, and this is where I'm going to talk outside the other side of my mouth and go with somebody who does not have a lot of experience, and I'm going to go specifically on the upside, and that's Williams Nwarani. I hope I said that right. There's 2 consonants at the beginning of his name together. It's an N and a W.
Tough name.
We originally tried recruiting him out of high school. 5-star defensive lineman, 6'7", 255 pounds. Just making the short trip up from Columbia, Missouri. This guy has the measurables that we just talked about for the NFL Combine, and if this is one of those guys that a 5-star, he's a 5-star kid coming out of high school. Even if you get the bare minimum out of a 5-star recruit, that's still going to be above average as to what we're used to. So hopefully we can tap into the upper echelon of that. And this guy, by the time he leaves, will definitely be a difference maker, especially on the defensive line. Whereas, it's well noted that we had a lot of departures by graduation as far as Ty and Nash, and then also losing some guys in the portal like Williams, Jamari Butler, Kai Wallen.
Is Lenhart still here?
Lenhart's here, but Prince Umunwellen. I don't do well with pronunciations.
You're kind of doing
Am
well.
I doing okay?
Well, Sarah
Okay.
said your number 2 pick is Wanari.
Winari? We'll go with that.
Wanari.
See, that's maybe we need Sarah in the show.
Yeah.
Because
she knows her stuff.
I can picture people. I can picture the names on the back of their jerseys, their faces. But as far as pronunciation, that's why I don't get in any of those contests.
Well, I love that number 2 pick. Obviously, he was one of the first guys we got out of the portal, and a lot of people were excited about him. He easily could have gone pro, I'm sure.
Well, and I think anytime that and the important part about setting the tone as far as your transfer portal, getting somebody like that early, you can go to other people that are considering coming here and say, look, like we're not messing around. I mean, we're bringing talent in. We're going to change, the face of this program and put Nebraska up on top. So that's kind of like going and getting Dylan for your high school class and then being able to recruit around that.
Continuing Fuse 3, your top player you are most excited about who Nebraska got out of the portal.
I don't, and it's not a, it's not a flashy position, but it's a position of need. And to go out and get Elijah Pritchett, an offensive tackle from Alabama, a guy who started down there. I mean, let's say it how it is. It's Alabama. Okay, maybe they're not what they were 2 years ago, but you take an offensive lineman who has gotten starts for a pretty solid SEC team.
He had to have committed to Saban.
Right.
Had to have.
Yeah.
If he was there for 2 years.
And, there were some things as far as like some legal trouble, but I think he's going to get that all corrected. There were times where he did give up a little bit of, that's what everyone does. They always try and find the negatives or nitpick things. This was definitely a position of need. You lost Ben Hart. You're not sure as far as injury wise, as far as Turner and Prohaska. I mean, those guys, what they're going to look like. You've got Gatula coming back, but you definitely needed someone at that offensive tackle spot. Now,
and you're not done, by the
we're
way.
not. I mean, you got the New Mexico State Pete gentleman that I think it's still coming down to us in Michigan to try and get. But you've solidified at least one of those tackle spots, which is huge. Let Coach Raiola get in there. And you know what? And Will and I say this. I don't mean to get too much off on a tangent, but I was really impressed with our pass blocking last year. It was better than I thought it would be. And there were times.
Yeah, it was better than I thought it would be. Yeah.
There were times that I thought we may have pass blocked better than we run blocked.
Yeah, I thought Raiola had some time in a lot of games, definitely. You just hope that he could make those throws, because there were some that he made and there were some that he obviously blew. But you get that with the young quarterback. Yeah, you make a good point. I didn't think they were terrible. I think they just barely exceeded expectations.
Well, and I thought, maybe once Dana started calling the plays though, and we threw the ball a little bit more, I think that also loosened up the box where they weren't shoving 7, 8, 9 guys in there. And then we were able to run block a little bit better towards the end of the year too, because you saw it get some chunk yardage out of Dante and EJ toward the end of the year. So I'm excited to see how this offense really is going to evolve. The tight end room is going to look a lot different next year with an infusion. And you brought in all these receivers. It's going to be exciting.
The portal, about 15 guys. I think right now you're bringing in
16. And from what I've heard, we're probably pretty sold on another wide receiver from Houston,
really,
an old Dana Holgerson recruit, and obviously looking to try and add one more piece to the offensive line.
I mean, do what you got to do, but again, the more guys you add, the more you need to let leave.
And we'll probably talk about that again before July on how that's going to look to get down to 105. Are some of these portal guys going to be after spring ball? Hey, you've only been here a month or two, but they see the writing on the wall. Some guys who maybe have been in Rule's previous recruiting classes, are they going to be ones? Could an incoming freshman say, I thought I was going to see the field early, I might not. I'm going to hop in this May spring portal too. So it's a whole new world that we're not we're learning as we go too. Football, recruiting and portal stuff. It's not what recruiting was 2 or 3 years ago.
So that has been Thew's 3. Thank you for that, Thew. Some good information there. Don't forget, the stream is live on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. You can tune in, see our beautiful faces, just like you're watching SportsCenter on TV. That's what it kind of looks like. It's really fun. Sarah said it is Waneri. All right, not Wanari, Waneri. All right.
Waneri.
Ryan 840 says Thew laces the 3 from deep. Claire is in. Good morning, Claire. So there we go. Very good. Let's take a break. We're going to get former Husker Henry T. Buchanan on the show. I know Thew's excited to talk to T. Thew has known T for a while, so we'll get T on the show when we come back.
More next on the Morning Hookup on KFOR.
T is my friend.
Mom, I don't know why you say that. I may look tired, but I got good sleep last night, so.
Where's this at?
It was a little higher up.
Oh. Hey, I will tell you this, Will.
Thanks for saying I look like shit.
Kudos to your mom, because you might have just turned 26 and you may be independent and live on your own, but you never stop parenting.
I know.
Okay.
And I love it.
Just so you know.
I never want them to stop parenting. You got T on. There he is.
Oh, yes. Good morning, T.
What's up, fellas?
T, we're gonna have some tough questions today, as you can imagine. You know that, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. Just so
Absolutely. Bring them on.
Oh, now T, and I'll tell you this, Will. I'll just T might talk a little bit about this too. And it was after that Iowa game. Obviously, that was tough. And we have this regular on the group who finds the negative in everything. It doesn't mean, huge Husker fan, but he nitpicks, and he was trying to ask T some hard questions. I'll tell you what, T, boom, without seamless, the most professional responses ever. I mean, if T could give seminars on professionalism on social media.
So
he even keel, never loses cool, no retaliation.
Well, you need to start studying those.
No, I know.
I saw you.
I'll fly off the handle.
You got to do a little scuffle with somebody on the page. Not
like if there was
a
throat punch button on social media, I'd be hitting it all the time.
I know you would be. Yeah. Well, T, it's good to have you on, man.
Yes, sir.
How's the weather out there?
It's Arizona.
Well, it's chilly. Yesterday morning it was 31, and that's the first time in my 11 and a half years living out here that it's hit below freezing. And
you guys have to cover the fruit trees or something?
Oh man, I had to get rid of my 2 tall palm trees in front of my house.
Really?
I was trying to savor it, and I got an HOA letter saying do it or else.
Uh-oh.
That damn HOA, man.
Hey, but T, I've always wondered, why do they paint the bottom of those fruit trees down there white sometimes? Is that because so the sun in the summer doesn't burn them, or why do they do that?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I don't even research that. I see it, but I I consider it maybe kill them dang on scorpions or scare them away. But I honestly don't know. I see it though. And we have so many different types of trees and plants and you name it. And if you can go to any yard out here, as a matter of fact, my whole neighborhood I've seen a lot of trees missing. And you start to see folks' whole houses and things. And I'm walking to the mailbox yesterday, and I'm like, God, what used to be there? Was it a tree? Was it a fence or something like that? But it's still beautiful. It's supposed to be 72 today, 74 tomorrow. So we get back to the norm, but then it's going to drop down to the 60s again after that. So, and I work in the office next week, and it's going to be in the 60s. So I got to prepare for that because I go to work so early. I go to work like 4:35 in the morning.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, I'm an early bird. I like to get a lot of things done, all my management tasks and paperwork and.
T, sit right there for me. Hold tight for me.
All right.
Welcome back into the Morning Hookup. Happy Wednesday, segment 2. Hope your morning's going okay. I'm Will Wilson. I'm joined by Matthew Malone, and every Wednesday we bring on former Husker Henry T. Buchanan. He's on the show live. T, what's going on, man?
What's up, fellas? What's up, Will? What's up to you?
Good morning. Wednesdays segment 2 is my favorite segment all week. You know that, right?
It's everybody's.
It is. I mean, that's when T is on.
Oh man, y'all making me blush. If I was your color, I'd be red right now.
T, it's so good to have you back, man. A lot's happened since you've been gone. The last time we talked to you was just after we lost to Iowa on the road, and we got your thoughts from that game. You said, we talked to you. I asked you what you wanted to see different coming up against Purdue. Did you see that by chance?
Actually, I did and I didn't. One thing that I noticed on these road games is that our defensive intensity. I text Coach Hoiberg after the game and I just made a comment and I just said you have their attention now. I didn't really go into detail of what I meant by it, but I'll say it now and probably should have said it to him is that. You have the players and your coaching staff attention, and where those the last 2 road games has been hasn't been well. Of course, we should have beat one against Iowa, but this game from start to finish, it just seems like defensively, I think that we can make some adjustments. I think we still top 10 in the country, definitely in the top 2 or 3 in the Big Ten, where our defense is our bread and butter. But teams scout us, and once they figure out what you're doing defensively and your game plan, even offensively, there's there may be a time that you and I'm sure Coach Hoiberg and his staff is having these discussions where you need to make adjustments. And what I've seen in that second half and overtime of the Iowa game and pretty much the whole game in Purdue. Although our defensive game plan is effective, but sometimes I think we need to make adjustments and maybe not focus so much on taking away the inside. Because if you notice our defense, we are focused on taking away the inside and making rotations on the 3-point shots. And when teams have figured it out, and I think what teams are doing, and I think we should do offensively as well, they are pushing the ball and they're getting open looks. And back when I played, and Coach Nee had what we call the secondary break. You had your fast break and your secondary break. You're always trying to get that the first open shot. If you don't get it in the initial break, then you always got your big man trailing. And then once you see your big man trailing, and people are going to converge on him, and somebody's going to be open. And if you can find that guy and get him open before running the offense. Now, don't get me wrong. He's an offensive genius, and I understand why we choose to run our offense in terms of taking the best shot and getting some ball rotations, the big man at top, and I get that. But at some point, when teams are adjusting to your offense and they are coming with a defensive plan that's making our shots a lot more difficult, and that's just what I'm seeing. And also getting Connor, when he comes in, let's fast break a little bit. It seems like we always holding up and wanting to run our offense, and man, let's run it down their throat just like they run it down our throats, and get some easy buckets. And I'd just like to see some of that. But ultimately, when you look at the stat sheet, what beat us in that Purdue game was 17 turnovers. I mean, 17 turnovers versus 15. I think we had 15 assists. So when, and I've always said in order, we're going to win if we got 10 or less turnovers. 17 is a little much, and I think that was the key to our to their win. And in addition to, we didn't shoot it well from the 3-point line, and I think the right shooters. And I'm not saying that some folks shouldn't be shooting the three, but I honestly believe that we need to be strategic on when we shoot them and who's shooting them, and if you're open quite a bit, there's a reason why you're open. And sometimes we got to figure out and play to our strengths, and I'll leave that at that. So,
well, T, I want to kind of piggyback on what you said about being scouted, because it's from what I see, and you and I sometimes we'll chat a little bit about the X's and O's, but what I've seen here this last 2 games is almost like somebody has figured out because we like to double down on that post.
Yes.
And it almost looks like they've kind of figured that out with this back pick on the wings. And if you look at the last 2 games, of course they've been on the road, and some fans will say we can't win on the road. Chuckle. I'll let you go with that too. But it's almost like on this back pick that they're getting these open looks, and they've figured that out a little bit with the size that we have down there with Morgan and Braxton. Unless you're going up against a Cockbrenner or something like that, I mean, maybe we're going to have to not double down on that post and make these adjustments back in return, because if when we lost to Michigan State, everyone said, okay, maybe that was an anomaly. Yeah. And the Iowa game really stung, because that was a game we were up 15 with 15 minutes left. Should have won that. We should have been able to steal that road win. Yeah. But then we come back, and it happens again at Purdue. And maybe Purdue was angry because we knocked them off at PBA when they were number 1 last year. Who knows? And then to just get drilled like that again on the road, is there cause for concern now?
No, not at all.
Okay.
I can go back, to my days of playing there, and where we were drilled on the road. We got drilled by Oklahoma, K-State, KU, and things that sort. And we come back and beat a KU and a Missouri, and teams like that, and K-State. So that just happens, especially on the road. It's teams play better. Like I've always said since I joined the show, is you might as well just give a team a head start, give them 10 points. You start a game 10 points behind, and teams just, for whatever reason, play better at home, and then your upperclassmen play better on the roads, and that's just I'm not saying that's golden, but for the most part, that's what happens. And teams are just going to play. And then, of course, Purdue, we've played Purdue tough the last few years. Every year they had Zach Edey, especially at home. And actually, there's a game that a questionable no call or call went against us that we should have beat them at home anyway. So I know that they had a vendetta. And not only we beat them last year, but they were, they were coaches of the year, Big Ten coaches of the year. So there was some animosity there, and where that coach probably felt that, and the players, because we've always did a really good job on Smith, and he's been playing phenomenal this year, and it's but it's Purdue, it's they play hard, and they're still in the top 25 as a team. They've lost some tough games against some tough competition, and we just got to regroup, and I'm sure Coach Hoiberg and his coaching staff are making adjustments as we speak, and we'll see a whole different team, and we're going to have to watch Rutgers, and I know Rutgers is 10-6, 10-7, and but they got 2 top 3 projected picks as freshmen with Harper and Ace, and they can flat out play, and at any given night, whether they're playing at home and on the road, it's going to be a tougher game than what we think, but I think this is a game that we can get back on the winning track, and I still feel that we're okay. I got a lot of confidence in Coach Hoiberg and his staff, and adjustments will be needed. They're watching tapes. They're watching the same games we're watching, and they're there. And but it's the heat of battle. You got confidence in what your team's done all year, and it's sometimes you don't make those necessary adjustments. But let's give kudos to Purdue, Michigan State, and Iowa's comeback. Heck, I watched Iowa against USC last night. Yeah. They almost did the same thing against them.
Boy, T, talk about that. I don't know if you caught that Indiana-Illinois game, but Indiana looked awful. They were 0 from 3 until like 2 minutes left in the game.
Yes, but Illinois, you got to give Illinois some credit. I know they lost the other night, but they didn't have their freshman Theon, the kid that's played against professionals. He came back last night.
He's good.
Hey, and I can't believe the difference that a freshman point guard makes for a team, and how good this guy is, and how good that they played with him. And then there was a scuffle there too. Mm-hmm. The big guy got kicked out, and he tried to swing on the player. Big Ten might even suspend him. I mean, you can't just run and jump over somebody to hit somebody. I mean, a flat out swing, a punch. And
do you think Woodson? Let's say Indiana kind of falls and they don't make the tournament. Do you think Woodson's in trouble there?
No, he's the golden child.
Yeah.
He was back in those great teams back in the 70s, and he's the polar opposite of Coach Knight, where he's not causing a lot of issues there, and
sliding chairs across the floor.
Sliding and
choking
players and things of that sort. He's a beloved figure in Indiana, and I think he'll be okay, and I think Indiana will be okay. I'm stunned that they're not playing as well. They have a solid team. The transfer from Washington State to point guard, he was freshman of the year in the Pac-12 last year. And, you bring the big kid from Arizona and what they had coming back from last year. And I just kind of expected more from them. But, that's college basketball. The Big Ten on the road is tough, and each game and not every game at home is guaranteed. Some teams were playing well at home, but any night, see UCLA, you don't know what you're going to get out of them. And they were ranked early on in the top 10 in the country. It's us. That's just the life. I used to think Big Ten was the best conference in the nation until I started paying attention to the SEC when they had 3 teams in the top 5. And, this, like I've said before, the NIL and the transfer portal has brought parity to this, to the college game in both football, basketball, and all sports. And we haven't even paid a lot of attention to baseball and other sports. And I'm sure they are, it's whoever has the money back, and that's just the bottom line. And if you're willing to pay players, but I listened to a video with Michael Jordan, and one thing he said that is why the game is struggling today in the NBA. And it's, I don't know about you all. This is probably the least I've watched NBA
Me too.
in my life. And is you might also be watching collegiate players play. We got a couple veterans sprinkled in there. But what he said is what's happening with sports, and it's happening in college now, and definitely the NBA. Back when Jordan and, the 80s and the 70s, 80s and 90s, and even part of the 2000s, you had to earn paychecks. Now you're paying on potential. And, like I told you with Arizona State, 3 of their top players were signed and never visited the campus. Who heard of that? And it was just a paycheck. And, they're decent, but they're not as good as I anticipated based on what they were paying these players. And you got to at least, if you're going to pay somebody, let them earn it. And now there's no motivation. If you're already getting the paycheck, what's the motivation to play better and get harder? And how difficult would that be able to be to coach someone that can leave in a drop of a dime? Well, hey, you're being mean to me. You screamed at me. I'm going to go play for someone else that offered me $1 more. So that's the part of the game that I don't like. But hey, kudos to these players that's getting paid, and I didn't expect it to be they opened up the bank like they have, but I've always been in favor of college athletes in all sports getting some type of stipend and getting paid. But I think they're gonna have to gain control. But I think NCAA done lost that now. I don't know if they'll ever get it back.
Well, T, let's turn the page a little bit here, and we want to get right back on track with Rutgers coming to PBA tomorrow night. And you kind of talked a little bit about what I was going to ask you about. I think you and I visited a few nights ago on the phone, and top to bottom, the Big Ten, it's going to be tight. Teams are really close. The SEC's got some great teams this year, so kind of makes you wonder how many teams the Big Ten might get in this tournament this year. So obviously you have to hold home serve, and if you look at our remaining home schedule, it's not really that daunting. I mean, there's a couple of tough games, but there's also some possibilities to steal some games maybe on the road, as far as maybe a Penn State or a Northwestern. Obviously, we get Iowa to come back here to end the season at PBA. There's going to be nothing better than to beat them for the last home game. Absolutely. But we got an interesting game tomorrow night. Rutgers, they come in. They do have a couple of freshmen that are pretty decent. But you are coming to PBA. There's still some nostalgia there where we've won 20 games in a row.
Yeah.
The students won't be here yet. It's still breaks. So you wonder if can us old fogies make it loud like we did for UCLA and see if we can, get back on the winning track. What are some things that you're really going to be looking for tomorrow evening against Rutgers to make sure that we get that home win?
Well, I think definitely they're going to make some adjustments defensively because they don't have the inside game, like some of the other teams. I know Iowa had a big kid, and of course Purdue has some really productive big men in the middle that was scoring on us. But this team is slashers. They can shoot the three. They dribble penetration. They go one-on-one, and that might be their demise. It's tough to beat a team when you got 2 players who's predominantly hogging the ball and dribbling all the time. So I think defensively, I think Nate would design something that's going to control that. And let's be honest, man. We play different in PBA, the vault, and I think we're going to come out and we need this win. We're on a 2-game losing streak, and I think this game is going to be a game that's going to get us back on track. And you said earlier about NCAA and how many teams you think the Big Ten from top to bottom. I think most of the teams are going to come from the Big Ten. The SEC and the ACC, and I think NCAA have learned from what happened in the 12 teams that they had for football, and there were some blowouts there, and I know they thinking about should Alabama, some other teams been invited instead of some of these teams, although they might have won their conference and things of that sort.
Well, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I mean, isn't basketball a different animal though? Because you know your VMUs and the smaller school, the Gonzagas and just things over the years where you have those Cinderella cases that in basketball isn't there more parity though for those smaller schools to compete more so than there is in football?
No, it's more teams in college basketball. That's all that is. I mean, let's talk about TCU when they made it to the finals. But Alabama, it was at Georgia that beat them, that kind of beat them down, but they beat everybody else to get there. So you're always going to have that Cinderella, and yeah, you're always going to have Gonzaga. That's going to be stacked. The St. Mary's of the world, the teams that we know about now. But for the most part, I really don't see. I think someone this morning, I don't know who I was talking to, stated that Georgia State was ranked. Is that true?
Georgia State in football? Basketball?
Basketball?
Somebody, I don't know if I heard it on. I was looking at news. I think it was one of my multiple chats that I'm part of. Where I'm talking basketball. I think somebody mentioned something about Georgia State or something, and they might have meant Georgia, but one of those teams.
It is Georgia. Georgia's favorite is ranked.
Ranked. Well, you get like a Loyola or something like that gets ranked, or a Butler and
but
smaller school.
But NCAA, but basketball, yes. To your question, yeah, basketball is different, but you have way more teams than you have in college football, especially in the Power 5 conferences. Even though a lot of our power conferences, the basketball programs might not be as good as as their college team, but at the same token, there's always a Cinderella in any sport. And football, maybe football not as much as basketball, but basketball is just like Indiana high school used to be, where you always had a Cinderella team, and the movie Hoosiers depicted that, and that's been taken away, of course. But this is a year that if you do a bracket, it's going to be one of your toughest brackets that you've ever done. Alabama loses last night, at home.
At home to Ole Miss.
So any night, and that's a home game. So any team, and who else? I think, was it Florida lost last night?
Florida lost to Missouri.
Yeah, lost to Mizzou, and Mizzou also beat KU when they were number one. I mean, so any given night across the country, we're going to have these upsets, but Nebraska, I'm comfortable where we're at, because we've seen what we're capable of, and then also we on both ends, we're capable of playing phenomenal. Like the games against Creighton and UCLA and some other teams. Then of course you have the Michigan State and the Iowa and and just most recently Purdue, and Purdue had a vendetta. We played them tough, and they finally, in their eyes, probably, I wish we played them again back at the Vault, but unfortunately we got 16, 18 teams in the Big Ten now, and it's going to be tough to have home and away in one season.
Oh yeah.
So,
yeah, because back in your Big 8 days where you had home and home with both of them.
Yes. Hey, we had Creighton home and away. I played. That was home and away in the same year, and I forgot who took that away. It wasn't Coach Nee. I want to say it might have been Dana Altman or whoever the coach was at the time, because Tony Baroni left and went to Texas A&M, and I forgot who took over for them. But whoever it was, I'm still disappointed about that. That was great, the home and away, because it's the bragging rights, and we split with them, and then I think Bo Reed and all those guys start kind of dominating them back then, and then of course, recently, thank God we won this year. We blew them out. We've won 2 out of the last 3 years.
Yep.
And
it's going to be a away team to win the last 3.
Yeah, and Creighton won. They got. I didn't realize they had 6 losses now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you want them to kind of keep winning as far as your, I'm an RPI guy, and I'm not going to say that I root for Creighton, because I don't think you'd hear that. Maybe I did a little bit in volleyball, but after we beat them, every team that we beat like that, that's why I want to see UCLA continue to do well.
Yeah, right.
Well, you got to
And
keep in
Creighton
mind though,
continue to do well.
y'all got to keep in mind when they selection committee, that wherever they came up with these quads, at the time that we beat all these teams, there were quad 1 wins, and I heard recently that every loss we've had is from a quad 1 type team. So even Iowa was a quad 1 loss, and of course St. Mary's at the time was a quad 1 loss, and then Michigan State, of course, and then Purdue. So we haven't had what we consider a bad loss from a quad perspective. So that's in our favor. And then beating some of those teams, the UCLAs and things that sort. Anytime we can get a win like that. So from an NCAA perspective, we're still in there, but we still got to finish in that top upper half, and I'm still counting on that top 5. We just got to make a run like we've done in the past, and I do believe that Coach Hoiberg and his staff is going to make some adjustments, and we're going to get back to that winning streak, and we'll forget about these 2 or 3 losses. And thank God they were quad 1 losses, and because that's in our favor. So we just got to keep that in mind as well. But hey, before we go though, man, let's get some thoughts on the not thoughts, but hopefully prayers and everything to California. I heard this morning we're up to 25 confirmed deaths and over 12,600 homes and buildings have been lost, and it continues to rage out there. And out here, you hear a little. I know it's across the country, but here, I know we're sending firemen there to assist, and they're talking about 70 to 100 mile an hour winds. So trying to control something like that is, the videos and what you see on TV and social media, and people going back to their homes and there's nothing there. And I, just personally, I'm in my Husker room and I can't imagine coming back and this is gone. And,
I would cry. I've been in that room.
Hey, but you don't understand, and until something like that occurs, and we're outside looking in until it hits home, and you have no idea what these folks are going through. And so I worry about that, and and that's the state that my team and our section handles. We handle California virtually.
Oh, really?
Plains perspective. So, we're getting a lot of calls, and I'm talking to a lot of policyholders that's being impacted, and those are tough conversations, but always demonstrate empathy and professionalism, and think about, it could be you, and thank God, that it's not. But man, it's something's going on out there, man, and I hope they find out. 5 different fires starting in different areas.
It makes T trying to battle his hiccups on air seem minimal. So
hey, wait a minute, I'm on some medication that's taking care of that.
I know I know you well enough that when you get excited, I can still detect it. See, the listeners can't. So that's just me giving you a hard time. But hey, T, thank you for
when I get
today.
Excited or something like that, they do come, and man, when they come, it's brutal. But I'm on some medication even though it makes me drowsy, but I'm doing a lot.
You're wide awake today for the show, and that's what we appreciate about you. So,
all right,
we appreciate you, man. Let's get a win tomorrow night, huh?
Oh, absolutely, go Big Red, man! And I have not lost 1 ounce of confidence in this team and coaching staff. And yes, hey, you think we're upset? How do you think those players and coaching staff feels?
No doubt.
Right. Nope, we're still on board.
As a player, it just, I know fans get upset, and most of the fans who get upset, they probably don't, FanDuel or something, they don't bet and lost money. I don't know, but from my perspective, man, I go Big Red, and we'll be okay. Let's continue drinking that Kool-Aid, and we got still a long season ahead of us.
T, thank you so much for your time, man. We'll catch up on Wednesday next week.
Absolutely. Y'all take care, man.
Right.
Thanks for having me.
All right, T. See you later, man. Go Big Red tomorrow night against Rutgers, 8:00 tip, kind of a late tip against Rutgers.
That's going to be a little tough, especially no students, so just the old folks. So,
right.
If you by chance cannot make it, let me know. I'll gladly sit in your seat.
There he is. That's Theo Malone. You can find him on the Husker Army Facebook page if you want to sell your tickets to him. Let's take a break, Theo. Let's come back. We'll wrap up the show. We'll do stories we missed and the Daily Wager.
You're listening to the Morning Hookup with Bill Hooks and Will Wilson. More coming up.
Thank you to T.
So on this daily wager, I just picked some.
Anything, any bet.
There's women basketball going on already on a Wednesday.
I guess so.
College basketball on a Wednesday. There's a couple games already started.
Huh. Ugh, gross. The board does not look good.
The board?
Yeah.
What board?
Board.
Boar?
The betting board.
I don't know what that means. No one knows what that means.
All the
but it's provocative and it gets the people going.
All the games. It's the games.
Oh.
I see a good one here. I see a good one.
So that's what we bet on a game, or I could bet on whether it snows or not today.
Nope. It has to have betting odds with it.
Oh, it does? Okay.
Plus, I don't think it's going to snow today, is it?
I don't think so. But if I flipped a coin, I could say that it's going to be tails. I mean, that's technically betting odds. It's 50%.
It's true. I got mine picked out. T is always so good. He is, man. He is. He loves it. He loves doing this. We love talking with him. And be... Would it change your mind?
Honey, write this down.
Little George Strait.
Maybe. Do you think his last name was really Strait? I mean, because, you know, they all have made up names.
It could have been, though. Yeah.
It was probably like George Fitzpatrick or something.
That was his name. George Harvey Strait Sr.
Huh.
What a life. What a life. I think I might actually listen to George on the way home today.
I'll probably listen to 80s.
Yeah. Yeah, because you're
That's what I do.
You're into all that, 80s fem rock bullshit,
That's not the direction you want to take the band?
It's not the artistic direction I want to take the band
All
in.
right, fine.
No.
Fine. You don't like the Tears from Fears, huh?
I do like Tears for Fears.
Okay, well, let's see what we get. Let's see what song we get for the next rejoin then, and see if I can change your mind.
Let's see.
You were working as a waitress in a cocktail bar. When I met you, I picked you out, I shook you up and turned you around.
Welcome back into the Morning Hookup. Happy Wednesday, final segment of the day. Thank you again to Henry T. Buchanan for joining the show. Trying to instill confidence in Nebraska fans on this Nebraska team. Nobody's really jumping off the edge right now, but,
No.
the last two road games aren't exactly motivating. But
It's a 30-game season.
yeah, it's a long season, and he likes us tomorrow against Rutgers. We'll talk about that game tomorrow
Rutgers?
night. If you have
Rutgers.
tickets you're selling for cheap, let you know.
It's a fancy way to say the University of New Jersey.
Yes. Well, it's the final few minutes of the show. Let's get to stories we missed.
The stories we miss. The Morning Hookup.
Theo, I am very, very curious about what the Dallas Cowboys are going to choose to do.
I told you what I thought 6 months ago. Not that I wanted it to happen.
Well, it happened, and now they need a new coach.
Well, but in 6 months ago, I thought who I told you I thought would end up probably coaching that team by next year.
And you said,
I said Dion,
and
and not that I wanted it to.
do you think they're going to go that route?
It'd be interesting. Yeah, I think more so because you have to have a yes man, somebody that'll answer yes to Jerry. And I know that Dion, for his
Do
flamboyant,
you want that?
No, I don't want it. But I'm telling you what I predict. I mean, do you know what I really want? For Jerry Jones to not be in control of that team anymore.
Well, he's going to have to die.
Well, right, like Al Davis did with the Raiders.
Yeah.
I wish they just get a general manager in there. But when you bring in people that have minds of their own, like Parcells, didn't work. And there's talk that Bill Belichick, he said he would have been interested in the job. It had opened up. I know it's a $10 million buyout before I think like June 1st or something like that. After that, it's only $1 million buyout. Jerry Jones would pay that. But as Bill Belichick, I just don't see it from a personality standpoint how that would work with Jerry Jones.
To me, all signs lead to Dion. I mean, he's going to get his payment. Jerry will overpay for Dion. They're really good friends. Right?
And Dion will try and find a way to get his son onto that team.
Exactly. So I'm curious to see.
But I'll be
what will
honest with
happen.
you, as a Cowboys fan,
Yeah.
I'll take Shadur over Dak right now.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, wow. That's kind of crazy.
He's an immobile target anymore back there.
Oh, that's kind of nuts. I think that's crazy for you to say. I would take like 75% of the NFL starting quarterbacks over Shadur.
You don't think he's talented?
Including Dak. Sure, he's talented, but he's not even a rookie yet. I mean,
Right.
who knows how he's going to look in the NFL?
Well, but I've seen Dak progress over the years and us pay out the rear for him too, and it's utterly disappointing.
Wow. Well, we'll see what happens. I have a feeling a few hires are going to be made today. I could be wrong. But let's get to the daily wager. All right.
Is that your wager?
No, it's not. My wager, I'm going to go to college basketball.
Okay.
All right. And we just talked about Georgia with T, how Georgia's ranked top 25. You don't see Georgia ranked in basketball very often. They're going on the road to Tennessee.
Oh,
And Tennessee is only favored by 11. To me, this seems like a total trap game for Georgia. How many times has Nebraska got ranked and gone on the road and
lost the ranking the very next week.
I mean, this happens. This happens to teams that are not ranked very often, and Georgia's one of those teams. I think the fact that Tennessee's only favored by 11 is nuts. So I'll go Tennessee.
Okay. I'm gonna go on the professional circuit because I've never done a wager. And tonight the New York Knicks travel to Philadelphia.
Oh,
You got New York and Philadelphia, two teams that were supposed to be up there. New York is favored by 6.5. The big three for Philadelphia all sat out last game. They're going to come back. Towns is hurt. Brunson is hurt. Philadelphia wins this game.
I like it. Theo Malone, thank you for coming in today.
Thank you for having me.
Make sure you find the Husker Army on Facebook. Join the group. Get in on the conversation. Thank you to everybody for tuning in. Bill Hooks will be back tomorrow. We'll have Marco D'Angelo on the show. We'll see you then.